Look, if there's one thing humanity really excels at, it's blowing things up, burning them down, and leaving a colossal mess behind. Welcome to this explainer. I gotta say, as a botanist, I have to hand it to you. Your destructive tendencies actually created the absolute perfect real estate for one of nature's greatest biological glitches. We're looking at fireweed today. It's this absolute survival masterpiece that essentially just sits around waiting for us to completely ruin an environment, all so it can step in and hit the restart button on the ecosystem.
Most plants, your precious, delicate little garden varieties, they take years, sometimes decades, to colonize a disaster zone. They're incredibly fragile. They need constant coddling. But not fireweed. I'm going to show you how this plant actually thrives on trauma. It looks at highly acidic, completely fire-scorched soil, the exact ground you'd assume is 100% dead, and uses it as its own personal launching pad.
And this brings us to exactly how this resilient little weed earned its most famous nickname. So, picture this. It's the Second World War, bombs are falling mercilessly across Europe, and people start noticing something incredibly strange. Right in the middle of these fresh, jagged, entirely barren blast craters, these vibrant purple flowers just start springing up out of nowhere.
The irony is just palpable, really. Over in London, this plant actually became the city's primary symbol of resilience, simply because it was physically covering up the hideous scars of the Blitz. Locals started calling it bombweed because, well, its sudden appearance in the rubble was literally as certain as the explosions themselves.
Okay, moving into our first main section, nature's first responder.
So, how exactly does it clean up your massive ecological messes? Well, fireweed is what we botanists call a pioneer plant. For the layman out there, that just means it's an organism specifically designed by nature to be the very first thing to colonize land right after a fire, a volcanic eruption, or any massive trauma. While normal plants would just curl up and die without a stable foundation, fireweed absolutely loves the high acidity of ruined, fire-damaged earth.
It essentially acts as a biological first responder, and the mechanics of this are just fascinating. Step 1. It colonizes that highly acidic, damaged earth. Step 2. It immediately gets to work restoring the soil's nutrient balance. Step 3. Its roots lock in to prevent the erosion of whatever topsoil is actually left. And finally, Step 4. It preps the entire environment so that other, way weaker future plants can actually survive there. It is a literal biological reset button.
Next section here, a botanical identity crisis.
Because of course humans can't ever just agree on one name for anything, this plant suffers from a global botanical identity crisis. Over in the UK and Ireland, you're going to hear it called Rosebay Willowherb. Hop a pond over to Canada, and suddenly everyone's calling it the Great Willow Herb. It's exhausting, really, but let's clarify its true scientific identity right now. It is Chamarion angostifilum. It's a member of the willowherb family that maintains absolute dominance across North American and European fields.
All right, onto our next section, the survivalist's ultimate toolkit.
I know most of you are completely irrationally terrified of eating raw, wild plants because you think you're going to poison yourselves. Well, allow me to introduce you to a massive biological survival glitch. Unlike other wild plants, like, say, chaya, which requires a strict 20-minute boil just so it doesn't harm you, every single part of fireweed is 100% safe for immediate raw consumption. No boiling required whatsoever. You can just pick it and eat it. It's a complete survivalist's toolkit packed into a single species, giving you immediate food in disaster environments where almost nothing else is safe.
And honestly, it just completely flexes on your standard garden vegetables. A single serving of fireweed gives you almost 50% of your daily recommended value for both calcium and fiber. I mean, it heavily outperforms the stuff you grow in your backyard when it comes to mineral content. It provides the exact structural support your body drastically needs during high-stress situations. It's basically a biological shield disguised as a pretty flower.
But wait, it's not just a survival snack. It's practically a walking pharmacy. Fireweed has scientifically recognized anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving effects. Historically, early cultures would actually use the raw leaves in teas or tinctures as a natural painkiller for high-stress situations. Oh, and its nutritional density is so off the charts that locals in Siberia would literally harvest it as a high-vitamin energy bank to feed their working dogs, just to help them survive the brutal cold.
So let me just break the factual flow for a second and ask you directly. Think about this. If your own neighborhood was hit by a massive disaster, would you actually feel comforted seeing a wild field of these purple flowers springing up from the rubble? Or would it just be a constant, glaring reminder of what was violently lost?
Just chew on that as we look at the bigger picture here.
Because this perfectly illustrates the crazy dichotomy of this plant. On one side, we have human destruction, right? Bombs, craters, rampant soil acidity. But on the other side, you have pure botanical healing, nutrient restoration, medicine, life. As an herbaceous perennial, its vibrant purple inflorescence towers over our rumens, sometimes growing thick like an actual shrub, simply to signal to all the local pollinators that, hey, life has officially returned to the disaster zone.
It really is the ultimate irony. We took a biological first responder, a plant that works tirelessly to heal the very earth we damage, and frankly acts as a healer for us just as much as it heals the soil, and we literally named it after a weapon of war. So you've got this delicate-looking weed. It feeds Siberian dogs, it physically treats human pain, and it thrives exclusively in the acidic craters left by our absolute worst bombs, all while acting as the definitive key to restoring life to the land. Now that's absolutely wild.